She came back pregnant. 8 weeks after our wedding. Suitcase in the trunk. Guilt all over her face. "It's yours," she said, like that could somehow undo the wreckage she left behind. The silence in the house was so complete, I could hear the tick of the wall clock echo off the kitchen tiles. 9:14 p.m. A casserole dish sat on the counter, untouched since noon. I'd made it out of habit that morning, just like I used to. Only this time I ate alone. Again. The wedding photo still hung over the fireplace. Her laugh caught mid-motion. Eyes crinkled like she couldn't believe I'd said yes. My hand on her back, hers around my waist. We looked like two people who believed the future owed us something. I should have taken it down by now. Should have packed it away along with the guest book, the ribbon-tied letters, the honeymoon brochures we never used. But every time I reached for it, I stopped. It was like a wound I wasn't ready to bandage, let alone heal. She left 3 weeks after we said I do. Said she needed to be there for him, her ex. Said he was dying. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. I remember standing in our bedroom, suitcase open on the bed. Her hands shook as she folded jeans into neat little piles. Like order could make it less insane. "I know how this sounds," she said, "but I can't let someone die alone. Not him." I asked her one thing. "Why didn't you tell me about this before we got married?" Her answer still haunts me. "'Cause I didn't think it would come to this. I thought we had more time." I wanted to scream, to shake her. But all I could do was stare at the half-zipped duffel bag and wonder what kind of woman packs to leave her husband to take care of her dying ex. She touched my arm. "If it were your ex, wouldn't you?" "No," I said without blinking. "Not like this." She flinched. "You're making this harder than it has to be." As if there was a soft way to be abandoned. I helped her load the car. I watched her taillights disappear down our street. I went back inside and stared at the wedding photo until the sun rose. Weeks passed. I didn't call. She didn't either. Every room held echoes of her. Coffee mugs she insisted we keep from college. The lavender scent in the closet. The playlist that still auto-loaded on Spotify every Saturday morning. Then last Thursday she knocked. I was home early from work. Had just set down my keys when the doorbell rang. I opened it, and there she was. Same wavy hair, same nervous tuck behind the ear, but different, heavier, visibly pregnant. She didn't say hello. Just, "It's yours." 3 words. I didn't invite her in. I didn't move. I just stood there, heart thudding like a war drum. "I came back because," she swallowed, "because you should be part of this." I looked past her. The street was empty. Her suitcase was in the trunk. "I know I hurt you," she said. "But this isn't about us anymore. It's about him, or her. You have a right to be there." "And what do you want?" I asked. She looked away. "I want you to come home. Not for me. For the baby." That night I sat alone in the living room, staring at the wedding photo. I held it for a long time. My thumb traced the frame's edge like I could find answers there. On the hall table, 2 house keys waited side by side. One was mine. The other was hers. She hadn't taken it when she left. I picked them up, felt the weight of choice. One key fit the front door. The other no longer did. Outside, wind rustled the hedges. A storm was coming. But I stayed where I was, on the couch, between the past and something I wasn't sure I could call a future. I didn't make a decision that night. But I knew the next one I made would define the rest of my life. The next morning I found her wedding band on the kitchen counter. She hadn't said anything about it the night before, just left it there, next to the salt shaker, like it was nothing more than another loose item from her purse. It caught the sunlight as I walked past, and for a second I thought about pocketing it. Then I didn't. I made coffee I didn't drink, stared at toast I didn't eat. The silence was heavier now. It wasn't the absence of sound. It was the presence of something I didn't ask for. Something that could reshape the rest of my life. I didn't go to work. Called in sick. Sat on the porch instead, watching leaves skitter across the driveway. At some point I texted my brother. "She's back. Pregnant." He didn't reply. The last time we talked, he told me to run, not walk, away. Said love doesn't leave you to care for someone else's deathbed. Said I was setting myself up to be someone's fallback. He wasn't wrong. I thought about our wedding. Not the vows, not the kiss, but afterward. The way she kept checking her phone at the reception. I'd chalked it up to nerves. Later she told me her ex had texted. "Congrats," he said. She never showed me the message. I never asked. Back then I trusted her. Now, I wasn't sure I even knew her. I opened the bottom drawer of the hallway cabinet. There was a shoebox inside, full of old things, a dried boutonniere, the stub from our honeymoon flight we never took, and a folded piece of notebook paper. A letter she wrote me before the wedding. I used to read it when I missed her. I tried now, but the words blurred. Around noon, she texted, "Can we talk?" I didn't answer. A few hours later, she let herself in. Same key she never gave back. She moved slow, heavier now, hands on her lower back. I couldn't look at her stomach, couldn't look at her face. "You okay?" she asked, like she had any right to ask that. "No," I said flatly. She nodded like she expected it. "I didn't come here to ask for forgiveness." "Then what are you here for?" She looked at the floor. "I want to raise this child together. I want them to have their father." "But not their mother?" She flinched. "I know what I did. I know how it looks." No, I said, standing up. You don't. We stood there in the living room, inches apart, years apart. Her breath hitched. I could see her trying to hold it together, but I didn't move to comfort her. You told me he was dying. He was, she said. That's what he told me, his family, everyone. I saw hospital bills. And now? She hesitated. He lied. The words dropped between us like a grenade. I walked to the door, opened it. You should go. She looked at me, eyes glistening. I'm not asking you to take me back. Good, I said, because you're not the woman I married. She stepped onto the porch, then paused. But I'm still carrying your child. The door closed quietly. I sat down again, alone in the same silence. But it felt different now. Not empty, just waiting. On the table, the two house keys still sat side by side. I stared at them for a long time. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the way she said it. I'm still carrying your child. As if biology erased betrayal. As if sharing DNA was enough to rebuild something she'd burned to the ground. I lay on the couch, not because I was tired, but because the bed felt like a place that belonged to someone else now, to two people who no longer existed. At 2:37 a.m., I got up and walked into what would have been the nursery. We hadn't started decorating it, hadn't even agreed on whether we wanted kids this soon. But we talked about it. Late-night whispers, laughter under the sheets, names, middle names, family legacies. I remembered her saying, I want our baby to have your eyes. Now I didn't know what I wanted, or what the hell was even real. The next day I called her. Meet me at the park, I said. 1 o'clock. When I got there, she was already waiting, hands folded over her stomach, sitting alone on the same bench where I proposed last spring. That felt like a lifetime ago. She didn't speak first. Neither did I. For a while we just sat there like strangers trapped in the same memory. Finally, she said, You deserve the truth. I waited. I didn't leave you for him, she said. I left because I couldn't stand the guilt. Guilt over what? Over still caring, she said, voice cracking. Over not knowing if I was marrying you to move on or to prove I already had. I looked away. The wind picked up, blowing her hair across her face. She didn't fix it. He manipulated me, she continued. Said he was dying, that he needed closure, that I owed him that much. And you believed him. I wanted to, she whispered, because I never got closure either. It hit me then. Not just the betrayal, but the fact that she chose that chaos over our peace. That a lie dressed in nostalgia meant more to her than the life we were building. I don't know how to be a father with you in the picture, I said finally. She turned to me. You don't have to be with me. Just be there for the child. And how do I trust that? She didn't answer. Just pulled something from her purse and handed it to me. A folded piece of paper, crumpled around the edges. It was a paternity test. The kind you pay extra to rush. My name was listed. The result was 99.99%. I didn't know what to feel. Relief? Rage? Responsibility? We sat in silence again, longer this time. Then I stood up. I'll do what I have to for the child, I said. But I'm not stepping back into the fire. She nodded slowly, eyes downcast. I understand. I started to walk away, then paused. One more thing, I said, not turning around. If this is a game, if you're still lying to me, I'll disappear so far from your life, you'll forget what my voice sounds like. I didn't wait for a response. That night, I found the ultrasound picture in the mailbox. No note, no explanation. Just a timestamp in the corner, 7 weeks, 4 days. I pinned it to the fridge with the same magnet we got at Niagara Falls. I stared at it for a long time. 2 house keys, 1 ultrasound. No decision. Not yet. I didn't tell anyone. Not my brother, not my friends, not even my therapist. I canceled that appointment the day after the park. Said I wasn't feeling well. What I really meant was, I didn't want to hear my own thoughts out loud, because if I said it, if I admitted I might still love her, or worse, that I might want to fix things, it would make me complicit in my own undoing. Instead, I worked late, ate takeout, cleaned obsessively. Every drawer got reorganized. Every speck of dust became personal. I think I did it to make the house feel less like ours and more like mine. But it didn't work. Her fingerprints were in the paint, her memory in the corners. Then Friday happened. I came home to find her car in the driveway. She was sitting on the front steps, knees pressed to her chest, hoodie pulled over her head despite the heat. I didn't get out right away. Just sat in my car watching her. She looked smaller somehow. Deflated. When I finally opened the door, she didn't look up. Did something happen? I asked. She held out her phone without a word. I took it. A text thread between her and her ex. The last message from him read, I told you it was never about the cancer. I just wanted to see if I still had you. Another one a few minutes later. And I did, for a while. My hand tightened around the phone. I looked at her. She still wouldn't meet my eyes. Why show me this? I asked. Because I wanted you to know I'm not protecting him anymore. And I'm not lying to you. You're still here, I said. Because I don't have anywhere else to go right now. There it was. The unvarnished truth. Not romance. Not redemption. Just circumstance. I don't want you in the house, I said. I'll sleep in the car if I have to, she said quietly. I looked at her belly, then at the porch. The light was flickering again. I still hadn't fixed it. You can take the guest room, I said. But this doesn't mean anything. She nodded. That night, the silence felt different. Not heavy, not even angry, just full. I sat on the couch while she moved carefully down the hallway. Her footsteps were quieter than I remembered. I thought about my father, how he left when I was 8. I thought about the look on my mother's face when she told me I wasn't the reason. I didn't believe her for years. Now I understood what she meant. I wasn't doing this for her. I was doing it for someone who hadn't even opened their eyes yet. At midnight, I stood in the hallway, staring at the guest room door. Her light was on, glowing softly under the crack. I didn't knock, just turned away, carrying a weight that no longer felt like pain, just inevitability. She started leaving notes. Not dramatic ones. Nothing emotional or pleading. Just practical stuff. Out of milk. Doctor appointment Thursday, 11 a.m. I vacuumed the hallway. Tiny, neutral fragments of life written in slanted handwriting on yellow Post-its, like we were awkward roommates. And in a way, we were. We didn't talk much. When we did, it was about logistics. Baby supplies, appointments, insurance. Nothing personal. Nothing real. But something shifted the night I heard her crying. It was late. I'd been dozing on the couch, the TV still flickering when I heard it. Quiet, muffled sobs from the guest room. For a moment, I froze. Then, without fully deciding to, I walked down the hallway. Her door was cracked open. She was sitting on the floor, her back against the bed, hugging a pillow to her chest. Her phone screen glowed next to her. I caught a glimpse of a photo. An old one. Us, laughing in the snow. Her cheeks red. My arm around her waist. I should have walked away. I didn't. You okay? I asked softly. She looked up, startled. Wiped at her face like it would erase everything I'd seen. I'm fine, she said quickly. Hormones. I almost left again. I should have, but something in me couldn't. Not yet. I remember that day, I said, nodding toward the phone. Your boots soaked through. We ended up drinking cocoa out of soup mugs. She gave a small laugh, then looked down. I thought about staying in Colorado, she admitted, after I left. I wanted to disappear. Why didn't you? She hesitated. Because the moment I found out I was pregnant, I couldn't stop thinking about you. I didn't know what to say to that. Part of me wanted to believe her. The rest knew better. So now what? I asked. She shrugged. I don't expect anything. I just want our kid to know their father, that's all. And what do you want for yourself? She looked at me then, really looked at me, for the first time since she came back. I want peace, she said. And if I'm being honest, I want your forgiveness. But I know I might not get that. I didn't respond. That night, I didn't sleep. Instead, I sat in the kitchen, staring at a Post-it on the fridge. Pick up prenatal vitamins. So ordinary. So far from what we were just weeks ago. I wanted to believe she had changed. That this was some raw, final version of her stripped of illusions and lies. But I didn't trust it. Not yet. And the truth? I didn't trust myself either. A week later, she got a package. I found it on the doorstep, brown cardboard with her name in bold black print. I almost didn't bring it inside. My thumb hovered over the return label. Out of state. Somewhere in Oregon. She was in the shower. I left the box on the hallway table and went back to pretending this was normal. When she came out, towel around her hair, she paused at the sight of it. Her face went pale. She picked it up carefully, like it might explode. Something wrong? I asked. She didn't answer. Just carried it into the guest room and closed the door. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Finally, I knocked. She opened the door halfway. Her eyes were glassy, and the box was open on the bed. Inside were baby clothes, tiny onesies, a crocheted hat, a photo album still wrapped in plastic. I didn't order this, she said. Then who did? She held up a note, handwritten on thick cream paper. Whatever happens, this child is still part of our story. M, her ex. I felt the air drain from the room. He knew you were pregnant? She nodded slowly. I didn't tell him, but I guess someone did. Maybe a friend, maybe social media. I don't know. Have you spoken to him? Not since the text I showed you. I stared at the baby clothes. Symbols of innocence dropped into the middle of a war zone. What does he want? She shook her head. Attention. Control. Maybe he's afraid he's being erased. Well, he is, I said coldly. That night I lay awake again. I couldn't stop imagining that guy, her ex, sitting somewhere smugly packaging up his history in cardboard, trying to write himself into a story he lost the right to tell. And I couldn't stop asking myself why she hadn't shut the door tighter, why she hadn't changed her number, why she hadn't burned the bridge instead of leaving it smoldering. In the morning, I found her in the kitchen holding the hat from the box. I'm not keeping any of it, she said quietly. I just needed a night to grieve what I thought I had with him. I didn't respond. I just made coffee. 1 mug, not 2. The boundaries were getting harder to define. And the closer the due date came, the more I started to wonder if this baby was going to bring clarity, or just trap us both in a deeper kind of confusion. The baby started kicking last Thursday. She was lying on the couch, feet propped on a pillow, when she called out, "You want to feel something?" I didn't answer right away, but I walked over, slowly, like I wasn't sure if the floor would hold. She pulled up her shirt just enough and took my hand. "There," she whispered, a faint push beneath my fingers. Then another. I didn't speak, just looked at her belly and tried to imagine what kind of life could grow in the ruins of two people who stopped knowing each other. Later that evening, I drove to the baby store alone. She was too tired, or maybe she knew I needed space. I wandered through aisles of pastel blankets and impossibly tiny shoes, watched couples argue over car seat brands. One guy had a checklist. Another had his arms wrapped around his pregnant wife while she picked out bottles. I bought a neutral onesie, no cartoons, no words, just soft gray cotton. At checkout, the cashier smiled, then asked, "First?" I nodded. "It's just me." She didn't say anything, just bagged it quietly. When I got home, she was sitting in the hallway holding something, one of our old photo strips from a booth at the pier. We looked young, uncomplicated. "I found this in the drawer," she said. I nodded and kept walking. That night, I was brushing my teeth when she came to the bathroom door. She didn't say anything, just leaned in, slowly, and pressed her head to my shoulder. Her hands didn't move, didn't ask for anything, just rested there. I froze. It wasn't a kiss. It wasn't an apology. It was something sadder, a reach, a question without words. I stepped away. "You should sleep," I said, voice even. She didn't follow. The next day, I called my brother. First time in weeks. He picked up and didn't even say hello, just, "You okay?" "No," I said. I told him everything. About the baby, her being back, the quiet tension that had replaced screaming, the way every day felt like stepping through fog barefoot. He let me talk for a long time. When I finished, he said, "You're not healing a marriage, man. You're preparing to raise a child with a stranger. Just don't confuse the two." "I know. Do you?" I didn't answer. "Be a good dad," he said finally. "But don't burn yourself down to do it." The line went quiet after that, but the words stayed. That night, I found the onesie I'd bought and folded it into the drawer beneath the wedding photo she'd left out again. Then I turned off the lights and sat in the hallway for a long time, outside her door, not inside it. Never again by accident. The package came on a Sunday. Plain brown box. No return label this time. Just her name in black marker. She found it before I did. I came into the kitchen and she was sitting there, the box unopened, her hands trembling. "I didn't order anything," she said. I took a knife and opened it. Inside, more baby clothes. A blanket with embroidered initials we'd never agreed on. And a card. No envelope. "A child deserves the whole story, not just the clean parts. M, her ex." I didn't speak, didn't look at her. She whispered, "He doesn't know where we live. At least, I thought he didn't." "You sure about that?" "I changed everything, I swear." She looked scared, genuinely scared, and somehow that made me angrier. "You're not going back to him," I said. It wasn't a question. "Never." "Then make it final. No more texts, no more voicemail, no just-in-case backdoors." She nodded. I already blocked everything. I wanted to believe her. I almost did. The next morning, I drove the package straight to a donation bin, and I didn't tell her. That evening, I found the wedding photo in the trash again. No frame, just curled edges and that same frozen laughter on her face. But this time, I didn't take it out. I went to the drawer, pulled out the onesie, and held it in my hands for a long while. The fabric was soft, weightless. It didn't feel like enough to carry what was coming. Later, I stood outside her door. The light under it glowed faintly. Inside, I heard movement, a creak of the floorboards, the rustle of sheets, a whisper, maybe her talking to the baby, or maybe to herself. I didn't go in. Instead, I walked to the living room and sat in the dark. I thought about the first time she talked about having kids. It was over pancakes. She said she didn't want to become her mother. I said I didn't want to disappear like my father did. And now here we were, right at the edge of both promises. The house felt like purgatory. Two people breathing in different rhythms, waiting for a future neither fully trusted. The baby didn't wait. Her water broke that night. Quiet, almost surreal. No drama. Just a sentence in the hallway. "It's time." I grabbed the bag, keys, my phone. We drove through empty streets, headlights cutting through fog, hospital lights growing closer with every turn. At admissions, the nurse asked, "Will the father be present for the birth?" I said yes, because I wasn't stepping into her life. I was stepping into his. The birth didn't go smooth. It started with pressure and sharp breaths. Then came blood pressure monitors, fast steps, clipped voices. I tried to hold her hand, but she kept letting go. Not out of rejection, just reflex. Pain made her move away from everything. When they wheeled her into delivery, I followed, heart pounding like it was trying to outrun the day. The room was too white, too bright. Machines blinked in red and green. "She's at 8 centimeters. I need to push, please." I saw her face twist, eyes wild, and I knew I hated this. Not the child, not even her, but this helplessness. Then silence, then a cry, wet and new and real. He came screaming into the world, fists clenched like he already knew he had something to fight for. They wiped him down, checked him, weighed him, 7 pounds even. I cut the cord with shaking hands. When they handed him to me, he blinked once, and then stilled. No crying, just breathing, like he trusted I'd figure it out. She was sobbing quietly, from pain, from shock, from something else I didn't ask about. The nurse gave her a cold compress and turned to me. "You want skin to skin?" I nodded, pulled back my shirt. He was so light it felt like holding fog. They took her to recovery. I followed like a shadow, holding the paperwork, the baby, the leftover noise of what just happened. In the hallway, a nurse stopped me. "There's a man asking about her. Says he's family." The name hit like ice. "I'm the father," I said. "He's no one." "You sure? If he steps inside that door, I'll call security myself." She nodded. "Understood." That was it. The last ghost shut out. Later, while she slept, I sat in the stiff plastic chair by the bassinet. My back ached. My head throbbed. The world felt washed out, like someone turned the saturation down. I opened my phone. Not to text anyone. To write. "You broke something in me I didn't even know could crack. The trust, yes, but also the version of myself I thought was real. The man who believed in you more than he believed in warning signs. The man who thought love meant sacrifice, even when it cost clarity. And still, I stayed. I stayed through silence and manipulation, through swelling bellies and shrinking options. But I'm not here because of you. I'm here for him. This little boy who doesn't know about lies yet, who doesn't know what you did, who might never need to. Because I'll carry it for him. Quietly. He will not pay for our wreckage. And maybe I won't either." I hovered over save. Then I deleted it. Some truths are meant to stay inside. We brought him home 2 days later. She stayed in the guest room. The baby slept in a cradle in my room. The house felt smaller now, but warmer. That first night, I held him against my chest as the moon pushed stripes across the ceiling. He woke up at 3:12 a.m., crying. Loud. Frantic. I changed him. Fed him. Rocked him in my arms until he sagged into sleep again, one tiny fist on my collarbone. And for the first time in months, I cried. Quietly. Fully. Not for her. For me. For what I lost. For what I still had to build. For the fact that I didn't run. Even when I could have. I walked to the fridge, pinned the discharge form next to the ultrasound. 2 house keys still sat in the drawer beside it. One of them didn't belong anymore. But I didn't throw it out. Not yet. Because I was still figuring out how to let go of someone I'd already left behind.